77. 77. And he also will look at.
Okay. मुंशी जी, हमें क्या करना है बताइए?
हाँ जी।
हमें करना क्या है?
आपको कोई सवाल करने
देखिए क्या है कि थोड़े से अभी आपने कहा कि फायर कीजिए, तो किस तरह की फायरिंग वो इंटरेस्टेड है वो
स्टूडेंट्स हैं।
नहीं, ये अभी जो ये बहुत दुख हुआ उनके डायरेक्टर से कि हम जो नंबर 1 माने जाते थे या नंबर 1 थे, अभी ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम नंबर 1 को बॉटम है, ऐसा कुछ फीलिंग आई। तो ये एक्चुअली व्हाट वाज ही वाज सेइंग दैट वी आर lost ground, we have to make up for ground. I didn't understand. So I would like you to throw more light upon it, please, so that we know what ground we are talking about.
First, then I'll ask him, and then.
I think perhaps referring to the fact that the top 8 anchors no longer come to IIT Kanpur. So if you see in the last couple of years, I think this year out of top 100 ranks, we got only one. Which used to be almost like, I remember in my batch, almost 50 out of 100 would come to this IIT. Last year it was 0, year before that was 2. So there is, I think that the top people are not coming here. They're preferring metro cities, Bombay and Delhi, to some extent Madras. So that's, I think, the issue.
Any special reason why Bombay got 79 out of the top 100 this year?
Metro.
That's the fact, if I'm not mistaken.
I think there are reasons.
Bombay got 79 out of the top 100 this year.
So can I take it up further? What I asked first, please? See, चलो एक मिनट प्लीज। नहीं, बात यह है कि should we convert Kanpur into a metro like Bombay if we want to have? What is the solution? What is the root cause analysis of the whole problem, and how do we sort it out, or do we give it up? Let us be serious. If we have to do something, we should know what we have to do, and just not talk about it and forget.
I think we should not look for false excuses. If you want to correct the problem, you need to identify we need to find a remedy. We need to find the problem first, and we need to clearly identify without any obscure reasons which are really not the reasons. We were coming when IIT was Kanpur. Now IIT is IIT, which is much far ahead, and the living conditions are much better, and students are not coming. When we went into Hall 2, it was all muddy, our food was pretty bad, and still we lived through it and we made our way. What I would like to point out, I was running alumni association from European Alumni Association, 2005 until 2009. At that point, there was a shortage of faculty. And we tried to bring in faculty from Europe. Here, and Goli Baker came here. Some went to Bombay and Chennai also. When they came back, primary thing we noticed that faculty is not really doing the research it should be doing. At that point, I don't know what is the situation now. Told me that no more that kind of situation, but half the faculty were busy in consultancy. Consultancy, which normally the students should be doing and not the faculty themselves. Faculty should have been focusing on research rather than doing the things which is normally the job of the final industry. And probably the problem came from the previous friend in Dhande also. He was very frustrated, and it happens that only last week I talked to Dr. Martin Day from BRC, who was driving the BRNS research program. And then I had a dinner meeting with DRDO R&D Chief Controller, Satish Kumar, and both of them pointed out that there is a practice where IIT asks for the money for any project. IIT is given money, and then IIT decides who is the best partner in this industry. Instead of best partner, apparently IIT had been looking for the cheapest partner. So ultimately, IIT professors trying to pull down the funds, and instead of doing research, and he doesn't have students enough, he ends up doing primarily the thing of what students should be doing. So ultimately, neither DRDO nor BRT nor is significant, and no one is happy really in this situation. They say that whatever money goes to this masters and training program, they really don't get any benefit. And we are recommended that we should be talking to IITs. Now, this is a very bad situation. IITs are supposed to be the best institutions. And
Can you summarize quickly?
but this is what I'm coming to, that finally, whatever effort is being done should be on the research and not on the consultancy.
Totally agree. Can I have the mic, please?
Can you put the mic closer to yourself?
There is nothing which you can do about the decline of the catchment area of IIT Kanpur, which is the metropolitan Kanpur plus whatever. And there's nothing you can do about the rise in the metro areas of whether it's Chennai and Bombay, etc., etc. So, if we need to attract good raw material, good students, good faculty, etc., I totally agree, and I'm going to say it in much fewer words than Sharad Tripathi, I totally agree with him. We need to change the whole orientation of the institute by emphasizing research and development and working with industry much, much more rather than just the undergrad education. A. B. As far as undergraduate education is concerned, please do not forget a huge number of regional engineering colleges are catching up. So there is not very much to differentiate between the regional colleges and the IITs, except for the fact that we get a better quality raw material. Alright? So I think it's a very good thing that you are awarding more MTechs and MScs and PhDs. So there should be more emphasis on higher postgraduate education, research and development, and last but not least, super specialization. You need to find out niche engineering things, niche science things, and attract faculty in those departments. Thank you.
You know what? Just one like Ramesh, taking forward what Sumant has said, computer science department used to be the niche area of this institute. And at least about 50, 60 of the top 100 would come here in the computer science department. Two of you guys are from the computer science department. What has gone wrong with it? Why people are not coming to the computer science department? I know all over the world, particularly in the United States, Maninder, I met you in New York and other places. And computer science was the niche. And why doesn't it happen now?
Need to address in a slightly longer.
You can get all the questions and respond collectively.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe reputation.
No, I think there are any more.
Hold on, take your notes, please. When you end of questions.
Who was Shailene started. I don't think anybody has explained what the root cause is and what are we trying to achieve. As I understand, we used to be ranked high in the world ranking system, I don't know how high, and now we're not in the top 100 or in the top 50. I don't know what the ranking process is. It seems to me that the director mentioned we would like to be higher up. I think all of us want us to be higher up. I don't know what the criteria is, and until we know what the reason is for our fall, I don't know how we can address it.
So you never get good faculty.
Campus today is certainly much more attractive than what it was when we came here in '64. It's much more expanded. Facilities appear to be excellent by any standard. But there are a few things which the concerned people in IIT need to take care of. The old lecture hall complex probably doesn't have been cleaned since we left. The concrete walls are blackened. It pains me. I have gone to a university after IIT, which is much older than this, Stanford University. It looks as if it was made yesterday. It is 100+ years old. But when I look back, this college looks like these walls are blackened, the railings are breaking, probably paint is missing, and it needs maintenance of the facilities which were built. We had that, old library and the fountain system working. Of course, it was part of the exhibition, we know it. Now you don't need it because you have air fan cooled coolers. Damn it, remove those pipes and fittings which are ugly. When they're not in use, they're ugly. There's no water in that. These things need to be paid attention to, especially those of you gentlemen who have seen this campus changing over the time. My son is 40-year-old today, he's a professor, he's in academics somewhere else, but my grandson is 9-year-old. I really wish him to come here, irrespective of any other attractive college he could find if he's worked for it. But I would certainly like to, for him to see a spanking new, always new campus, because all residents of this campus are temporary. Students are here for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, faculty is here for 10 years, 15 years, they all go away, they're transitory. So please, it must not be looking old to them any time. So this maintenance, in my view, it may look very mundane, very simple thing, and it needs very little attention. But this somebody in the administration need to take care of it. Blackened concrete certainly doesn't attract students.
Critical parts of this education and merit to it. But still, as a parent from a metro city, you have to go and look at the schools there these days. They are outrageously beautiful, well-maintained, well-kept. Right from the playgrounds to the auditoriums to the classrooms to the children, everything. So the parents like us, if they have a choice, unless an institution, whatever, I am in love with this institute because I got it from you. But if there is a choice, they would certainly like to send their boards to a place which has an oomph value also. Thank you.
I'm Bhaskar Roy. I happen to be associated with the Indian Institute of Metals. I do not know if you are aware of it. You have the Institution of Engineers in India. There is an Institute of Metals, of which Professor Manna is the Vice President. He will be the President after 2 years. At the Indian Institute of Metals, we are grappling with a problem. I look at it from the steel angle. You are planning to produce 300 million tons in another 15 years. Whether we achieve it or not is a different question. But are we, as an institute, doing our bit to contribute to the manpower pool that will be required to run the industry in the country? Being number 5, being number 55 is a different matter. But as the Indian Institute of Technology, are we contributing effectively to the growth and sustenance of our industry? I think that is a moot question we must address. I am not so much interested whether we are 5 or 15 or 25. Are we contributing to our nation's growth and welfare and prosperity? Let us look at that question. Thank you.
What's going in my mind right now? Present them in some coherent order. In my view, when IIT Kanpur came up, 60s, 70s, it was so far ahead of any other engineering college in the country that students would come here despite this being in Kanpur city, because there's no comparison with any other college. This major edge that we had over in the 60s, 70s, we have lost that. Now there are equally good colleges available elsewhere, for example, just to name IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi. There is no way one could say that IIT Kanpur is significantly better than that. So why has this happened? Well, it had to happen naturally. When IIT Kanpur came up, we started with a very new idea of curriculum. We started a number of new ways of giving education in the country, whereas all other colleges were still stuck in the old style of education. So naturally, we had a major lead. And of course, then over a period of time, others will catch up. Another thing that has happened over the years is that initially, and rightly so, our focus was primarily on undergraduate education, as somebody pointed out. This is no longer sufficient, and we have to make a switch over to R&D primarily. Till about 10-15 years ago, in this institute, the teaching was still valued far more than research. And so that is one more reason why we are no longer considered. If you look at the world ranking, it's almost entirely or exclusively decided by the R&D output of the institute. Maybe 30 years ago it was not so, the rankings were differently organized, but now they are organized in this way. And therefore, we have no option but to shift significantly our focus on R&D side. This will come at the cost of teaching also to an extent. I mean, one can't be an outstanding teacher, an outstanding researcher, an outstanding everything. There is always a trade-off. And this is a conscious decision we have taken. In the last few years, we have pushed far more towards R&D and establishing a strong culture or strong push towards doing research and development activity. Professor Manna gave some examples of that, but we need to do much more, and that is why we also are looking to our alumni to give us suggestions and ideas of how to do about this. One major aspect of that is faculty recruitment. We need a large number of faculty. When as of today we are about 400 faculty on campus, we need more than 600 faculty. So, and if we hire 100 more faculty today, they are all going to be young, and they can bring in so much energy, so much ideas, so many new things we can do in the R&D front. So one of the major goals is to do a large number of faculty recruitment. We have been reasonably successful in the last couple of years. We have hired almost 70 new faculty. We want to continue doing this. What else? I think one more point was that, the upkeep of the campus is probably not to the level expected. I agree with that. But we are constrained by the funds we get. We don't have a free flow of funds available to us. We have to do a certain amount of rationing. One could argue that why not give this activity more priority than some other activity, but there is, like I said, there are trade-offs always there, and there are demands of funds on some aspect, and so some other aspect get neglected. So there is probably one reason right now for
just I want to ask you, why are we doing rhetorics of ranking what we are not good at, what we are not supposed to be doing, just because somebody wants to pull us out and we talk about that ranking which is not relevant to us. Why don't we start our own ranking system and let that ranking be done as per our way of grading and let them join us?
I think there should be sufficient research. If there is no research, you won't find faculty. So it's a vicious circle, either you fall in and you don't get anything. Or you show that sufficient research is going on, and that is easier to attract new faculty also. European faculty will come. I'm sure they'll come. If there's enough research, and real good research. Right now, the publications which are coming out are really not worth journalist research. They're mostly consultancy kind of papers. And if you see the references which are given, they're practically absolute.
In fact, in comparison to institutions across the country, I would still say, just to give one parameter, in last 10 years, we have had about 10 Bhatnagar Award winners, which are one of the highest S&T achievements in the country. All other IITs put together have 10. So I would say that we are not doing badly. Yes, we need to do much better, but I would not like to say that we are very poor.
Okay, out of all the points you mentioned, the one point which I agree with you rather, that is the research, the focus on the research. Because if you see the external, these outer universities, if you compare yourself, you stand very well below the standards. Okay, so now you have to improve tremendously on the research. Number one, as Sharad pointed out, if the research is good, I think faculty will also be there. okay, without a problem. So only one point out of the 3 points you mentioned, I agree with you, and that point is only for the progress of the institute. Those points are all related, and I think you have to give a thinking further, a deep thinking for the real problem, okay? I suggest that focus on research is one thing, and there are so many other factors you have to think of. This is what I do.
The issue is partnership with the industry. Any project has a few components. One is research component.
The early good image, if you will, and some successes. The IIT Kanpur had in the early days. We were there in the early days. One of the things one of the key factor, I think, in our visibility was a lot of US faculty that was coming in periodically and rejuvenating things on campus. This was a lively campus. And what has happened, towards the end of our term here, when we were about to graduate, there was a strike and things like that. They started happening on campus. And I think, they kind of got in the way. At the same time, the Kanpur program started taking off.
I wanted Dheeraj to take on the ranking, as the question was answered.
Yeah, I think there has been some misunderstanding about rankings. It's not that we have gone down in the sense that the rankings of the kind QS and PhD did not exist 30 years ago or 50 years ago. These rankings are only 10, 15 years old. And in that sense, it's not that we have gone down. It's just that, when there were more rankings, we kind of expected that, we must be ranked in top 100 whenever any rankings would be there. And when the first ranking came out, we were around 200, and therefore we were disappointed. And we have almost consistently been ranked around 200 for the last 10 years. So it's not that we have gone down in any way. The best ranking that IIT Kanpur ever received from any of these organizations was around 190. The worst ranking that we have received is around 220 or 230. So we have been in this ballpark around 200 all along. While we think that we deserve to be doing better. In terms of suggestion that we should have our own ranking, the government of India has created a group to create its own ranking. It's not clear whether that's a great idea, but we are trying to see where we can go with that anyway. I think we should be able to compete in the world on our own merit rather than saying that we will change the ranking system. Yes, there are constraints of this institute, for example, with respect to foreign students and foreign faculty, which causes almost 5 to 10% weight in various rankings. And we lose out on almost entirely that 5 to 10%. So if there is an alternate Indian ranking which doesn't care about foreign students and foreign faculty, we might do better. But I think we should do better in all the rankings of the world, not just an Indian ranking. In terms of research output that has been talked about, yes, it's less than, if you compare with the top 100 institutions of the world. However, it is wrong to say that it is any worse than other institutions in the country. If you see parameters like, he has already talked about one parameter, which is the Nagar Award. If you look at any other award in this country, in fact, Infosys Award, the number of people from IIT Kanpur who have got Infosys Award is more than all other IITs put together. So most of the awards, research and scientific awards in this country, IIT Kanpur is way ahead of all other IITs. If you see the research output in terms of number of publications in any of these, Science Direct or wherever, the per capita output of IIT Kanpur is highest amongst all IITs. So I don't think there is an issue with research output. In the last almost 15 years, continuously we have an increase of 20% per year. That kind of increase, of course, started on a very low base 15 years ago, and therefore we have been able to maintain that. But I think to expect a research output increase more than that is not fair. You start with a very low base, you start with an institute which is primarily focused on undergraduate education, and to think that you will suddenly start competing with MIT is not going to happen. 20% per year increase for 15 years continuously, I think is a very major achievement of this institute, which must be recognized. Maintenance and upkeep was mentioned as one of the reasons where students may not be coming here. I think anybody today going to IIT Bombay campus, IIT Delhi campus and IIT Kanpur campus, you visit these three campuses, and then if you say IIT Kanpur campus upkeep is not good, I'll accept. So the reason for students not coming here is very different. Now, I am one of the guys who who works very hard with students at the school level and trying to get them, career counseling and so on. Every June I would read at least 50,000 posts on internet in different websites, try to answer some of them and so on. The reason that I think, and from reading all this and talking to very large number of students and parents, is that we are not doing enough marketing. If you see the reasons mentioned on all these posts, why I am going to IIT Bombay, because 4 years down the road, the chances of me getting a job is high. This is one of the main reasons where every student and parent says. Right? Now, I find out the statistics for placement in IIT Bombay and IIT Kanpur. It so happens that IIT Kanpur statistics are better than IIT Bombay. We are not just putting that out enough. Right? There are various reasons. So what you hear in the newspaper is half truths. So, for example, recently IIT Kharagpur had a very major advertisement saying that we are the only IIT which has more than 1,000 students getting a job in the last year placement within the first 1 month. Right? Now, yes, they have got 1,000 jobs, 1,000 students getting a job. We had maybe around 700, but we had only 1,100 students looking for placement. They had 2,000. Now, 700 out of 1,100, is that better, or 1,000 out of 2,000, is that better? Right? So, there are other IITs who are doing a very good marketing.
You lack in PR.
We are lacking in PR is one of the issues. I also find that, there are some institutions on all these websites, you talk about BITS Pilani, and there will be 100 alumni saying, how dare you say this about BITS Pilani. You talk about IIT and there are 100 alumni who will say, how dare you say this about IIT I don't find IIT Kanpur students or alumni being very, their presence on the websites is very small. And therefore the same kind of response that Pilani and BHU particularly gets, you don't get from IIT Kanpur. You would get that response more from Bombay and Delhi, not to the same extent as Pilani and BHU. Somehow these two colleges stand out on all these sites. I think that marketing needs to be done much better. There are issues at the institute level also. I'm not saying that there are no issues. For example, we have in 2011 started a very, very liberal curriculum where a student could study pretty much anything under the sun. Even if he may have been admitted to material science, he can do a lot of computer science courses, etc. Somehow the implementation of that has not been very proper due to lack of faculty, sufficient number of faculty. There are a lot of students today claiming that I came here, I agreed to join in metallurgy because I thought I'll be able to do enough CS courses, and I'm not getting enough CS courses. So there are issues of that kind which we are trying to resolve. But I think it really is boiling down to what are we doing to attract students. And there, as I said, the problem lies with us. I'm not going to say why are alumni not on these websites, why are they're not doing enough. I think we are not doing enough. So for example, there are IITs which will say anybody in top 1,000 come on for a campus tour for free. The students and the parents are invited. They're given free lunch and a lot of talks and so on and so forth. We are not doing that. We hope to do that in this coming June. We have made plans for that, but so far we are not doing that. There are IITs, you go to their website, they say prospective students. If you are in this city, these are our students doing internship in that city, you can go and meet them. We are not doing that till now. Last June we did some of that, but next June we are going to do a much better practice than that. Till last June, for the first time we had a page on Facebook which says prospective students. We did not have such a page 2 years ago. So I think slowly we are trying to become better at this, and I think the reason why we are poorer in marketing compared to IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi is one simple fact. We were unquestioned number one for first 35 years of our existence. And therefore we have forgotten how to compete. Correct. Yes. The faculty here has never competed because we were always number one. And I think slowly over the last 5 years we have realized that we need to compete, and we are generating those ideas, we are doing better. And I think, for example, this year, because our presence on social media was much bigger in 2014 than in 2013, while top 100 there is not much difference from 0 to 1 we have gone. But if you see top 500, the number has significantly increased from 2013 to 2014. And that gives us hope that if we do our marketing well, and marketing is not saying false hopes. I think we have huge amount of strengths on this campus. As I said, our placement is better than most IITs or all IITs. Right? The flexibility in the curriculum is better than all IITs. The kind of teaching focus that we have is still, despite all this research talk, is still better than almost all IITs. If we can project those strengths properly, there is no reason why we cannot get 50 out of 100 again, which was the norm just 15 years ago. So I think we are working on it, and we expect help from you in this, and hopefully we will get that done.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Now, there's a lot of industrial experience in England before he joined us as faculty. Harish, you want to say something about your angle of the students, why they think the Bombay is better? Or
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon. I just wanted to continue what Professor Dheeraj was saying. 2 minutes?
Lunch is only next door, so don't worry.
So this was during, I was talking to one of the parents of a student. He happens to be in the income tax department, a reasonably big level. So he met me. He was very concerned about his daughter, how she is going to cope up here. Then I said, well, it's very simple. Spend a couple of days, see how things happen here. Then come back after a month and see how things are happening. If there is an issue, we'll take care of it. After 1 month, he came to see what's happening. On that day, the students decided to organize an event on their own. And they called it national integration. The first years were all there, new students. They said, we want to inculcate in them a strength of unity, national integration. So we want to take them on a parade along the streets in front of the hostels only. And then finally we will all assemble in the outreach open air theatre. You must have seen that. And all 800 students, first year students were there. And this girl's father was also standing there. I was standing there just watching how things are going. Then impromptu everybody stood up and they talked about integration. They all took a vote, and then they sang national anthem, and they all dispersed very quietly. This parent said, this is what I wanted to see. Why don't you publicize it? And I felt, yeah, he has a point. Maybe we should have made a video recording of it, put it somewhere. Now I'm thinking hindsight, but well, I missed that opportunity. So thanks, Professor Sanghi, for bringing that point. I thought I should share with you a couple of short-term goals that I have as a Dean of Student Affairs. One is infrastructure, not just maintaining our hostels, we need more space. We have moved from a stage where our intake used to be like 220 to 400. Now it has gone to 830 for the undergraduate. Plus we have similar number for the postgraduate. That is the kind of intake we have. And hostels have moved from hall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a girls hostel to 10 or 11. Plus we are coming up with 2 more hostels. One for boys and one for girls. So we are increasing our capacity. That has become our major objective. We are trying to accommodate something like another 1,000 students more in the hostel. So that is probably what is the near-term, short-term goal, very important goal that I am looking at it. The other thing that our team is looking at is soft skill development. It is okay, we are teaching them computational systems, we are teaching them programming, we are teaching them fundamentals of various aspects, but what today's industry is demanding is also communication skills. How the students are able to communicate well, we are trying to focus more on that. That's a very important aspect. I'm seriously wondering, is it because of the city that we are in, our students are disadvantaged in this aspect? I don't know. You may be able to help me on that. For example, if an IIT is in a metro, There is a lot of things Metro can offer to the students of those institutions. Whereas we being in Kanpur, I don't know how to draw that extra from the city and give it to our students. So that is a question that is bothering me always. Any inputs, I'll be with you, interacting with you. So any inputs on that will help a lot.
Thank you.
Association of IIT Kanpur, and it's sort of just dwindled. So my request is, besides US, there are associations in Europe also.
You will very soon hear from me in a couple of
And
days.
that's why I'm introducing to you.
I did go and have a mini reunion in Aachen last year, in September. I was there for a conference.
Yeah, I heard you were in Nepal
Yeah,
also.
yes, I tried to find people, and so in Aachen about 8 students I met. 2 of them are, I think one of them is planning to return, apply as faculty. So I did start this in a very little manner, but yes, there is one energetic young man who, other than Sharat Tripathi, who is in London and Paris both. He is in touch. I believe he'll try to get in touch with you. There's something going on. Okay, so the golden oldies. Okay. And finally, I have to say a formal note of thanks. So thanks to the institute. Professor Manna is to go away for meeting, for helping Alumni Association in all respects. And of course, thanks to all of you for being here. And I want to put in a special thanks to my summer training boss. I met him after 38 years and I couldn't. And please join us for lunch. There is a lunch is in Old Sack where you had dinner. There is a small one.
Yeah, those people who are interested in having a joyrides. Anybody? Because we heard, fine. So you people will be willing to do it right now or after lunch? Around 3, you should set the time.
credit cards covers come, if they're gonna come, that's fine. Or writing, I mean, everybody knows about written materials copyrighted. Copyright is basically, it protects the expression, not the content. You could write the same thing, different way, that's fine. You're not in a copyright violation. But if you basically copy that presentation, of the art or text or whatever, then you're basically infringing on somebody else's right. Trade secrets, now this is basically, I'm not going to tell you anything. It's that Coca-Cola formula thing that you guys, everybody's heard about. And I'm just going to keep it secret. The reason being, and this goes up to there, the reason being that if I go look for a patent, I can capitalize on it. So essentially you end up with a monopoly. It's not really a right to do anything. It's a right to stop others from doing it. So excluding somebody else from making, using, selling, offering to sell, importing, whatever, the claimed invention. Now it's not what you write in there, in the application, there's a section at the end, if you look at a patent, you see, claims, and then I claim, or we claim, and then a bunch of claims. And that is, that's defining the boundaries of your property. That this is how my, okay, just what I said, you get a fixed term. Incidentally, I'm going to talk about US patent law, and that's it, because that's where I come from, my expertise is. But most of the patent laws in most countries have been pretty much harmonized. So what I'm going to say here, to a large extent, would apply, almost anywhere. The differences in the procedural ways how you handle the interaction within the patent office and yourself. Each country may have significant differences there, but the basic laws, my sense is, pretty much are, at this point in time, are very similar. So, if somebody, steals it, not steals it, I mean infringes it basically, even if they're not even aware of it. So you claim something, I go and practice that invention, you catch me doing it, not that I even knew about it. I owe you. That's the way it works. Okay. So there is a remedy for infringement, intentional or not. With a trade secret, you keep it forever. You keep it as long as you want. You don't disclose it. You can somebody can actually separately go and discover it and practice it, and there's not much you can do about it. Okay, you don't have any more rights than somebody stealing it away from you. Then it becomes theft, and then you have remedies that you can get compensated for. Okay, why get a patent? One, you might want to getting access to a certain market. You get a patent, and now that makes it a little easier to penetrate a certain market. You get credibility, and you at least got to the point. Patent is also a publication, so basically everybody will notice theoretically that you've come up with this. You can exclude anybody else. You got a monopoly. If you can capitalize on that, I mean, that's great. Why not? Use it as a marketing tool. Many times you see things like patent pending on stuff. The whole idea that they just want to say, yeah, I applied for a patent on this, just to give the impression to the person who's looking at it that they're very creative and they're forward-looking company, whatever. Or like I said, you can handle it like real property and basically sell it or lease it, license it basically. Anybody can apply. This is US Patent and Trademark Office. That's what that acronym stands for. So their officers and employees, they're not allowed to, obviously because conflict of interest, and they've got the inside track maybe, but they're not allowed to apply for a patent for a certain amount of time even after they leave it. I think about a year, yeah. This never used to be the case in the US, only the inventor could apply, but with, like I said, a lot of this harmonization, of the laws across different countries.
We used to usually opt for IIT. That has changed. I have the stats for 2013 or 14. 79 top 100 students went to IIT Bombay this year. And I think one or was it three who came to IIT Kanpur. So that's a bad sign. So we alumni question the director today. क्या हो रहा है? Founding fathers, हम लोगों ने यहाँ की मिट्टी को खोदा है. You won't believe it. I was the first occupant of Hall 2. There was no Hall 3. Hall by us. उसकी खुदाई फड़वा लेकर के हमने खोदा था उसको. रंजीत याद है? Yes. So we have gone through that. So we questioned the institute about that. So you are lucky that you're in one of the best institutes in the country, and don't go by the rankings. Rankings are all topsy-turvy, and jobs are assured. But having said that, you can't sit with your hand on your head and let it happen. You must have seen posters around town. Town is around the campus. Golden Jubilee celebration of our batch. The badge Golden Jubilee on the year of passing out, right? Usually. But we have changed it to the year of joining. Because year of joining doesn't change. But the year of passing out, we have guys with us who passed out in 5 years, which was the duration of the course. We have guys who passed out in 6 years. We have guys who passed out in 7 years. And there was one senior of ours who passed out in 8 years. बड़ी मुशक्कत की, बड़ी मेहनत की उसने, वही 8 साल तक के पढ़ करके डिग्री हासिल की, लेकिन की. So why I'm sharing this detail with you is that having entered here, even if you get out a little with less, you must have read Chetan Bhagat की किताब पढ़ी होगी. He was a top 500 student, and he performed very well. He 5 points on his first book. He was somewhere there. But then he made it to IIM. नहीं पढ़ना दूसरी बात है, अक्कल नहीं होना दूसरी बात है. अक्कल तो सब में है, इतनी सी भी कमी नहीं है. It's all there. How you put it together and take it out, and it depends on you. Until a better system is developed, marks will determine how good or bad you are. Even entering the IIT makes all that. And not everywhere there is a grading system like the IIT. Okay? So don't fall for that trick. Something is grading system nahi hai, something is an absolute percentage and you end up not knowing where you are. Anyway, on anything regarding course, study, career options in a particular branch, which you already know, a lot of you know, and if some of you are in first or second year, by the time you reach third year, you will be gurus. सब तुम लोग को पता रहेगा. Because by that time you will be in closer touch with your seniors and they are passing out, they are being interviewed and all those things are happening. I was talking to the deans in the morning, so 2-3 of them were there. I believe there is some soft skills training also going on over here. You all, soft skill mean you have English classes? No?
No, but they are not effective. At least in the second year, what we are having, there is a communication course, but it's not that much effective. They just teach you on the lecture slides and...
That's a very important feedback. I'm very happy to get that feedback, because if the student is not gaining from a particular course, it doesn't mean anything.
So it's just like 8th, 9th grammar. So
that is bullshit. That should not be done. Sorry, I use your language because I want to be effective in talking to you guys. Okay? So I do not agree with that. And grammar is not what you need to learn today. You don't need to learn कि beauty, put beauty, but क्यों होता है, ठीक है? You don't need to know कि at and is and ये वो, all the grammatical parts you don't need to learn. What you need to learn is to be able to communicate effectively. When you sit in front of an interview, when you're in a project, when you're talking to foreign people, etc., which will happen later on. You're working in Infosys, You're one of the 2,000 people at the facility in Mysore under training. Some of you will be picked up and sent for projects abroad. People with poor communication skills will not go. He will not be able to communicate with the people over there. So that is the reason to improve your communication skills. And grammar is not the critical part. हम गांव के रहे वाला मनाई यही, हम प्रतापगढ़ हमार गांव है, मुई की रही, पक्की देहाती बोलते हैं जैसे तो सबने सुना कहा भाई, हमारा देहाती नहीं कहा है. And I speak perfect Hindi. हमारी हिंदी मातृभाषा है, हमको किसी को सिखाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, हम सीखे सिखाए आते हैं हिंदी, बचपन से सीखते हैं, सब आता है लगभग. Of course, there are a lot of you maybe who are from the south whose mother tongue is something different, but English is.
Thank you.